Recording in progress.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom. Shankwaya One Vision Ministry. Today I want to deal with going against the grain, the outlier. Abiyah, I thank you for this Shabbat. I thank you for this opportunity to minister before your people. Allow your will to be done on earth as it is in the Shamayim, in heaven. Yada Yahuwah, favor be to those that are able to get something from this. Hallelujah. All right. So let me get on this. I'm an Israelite and I come from Hebraic stock. When you look back at our ancestor, Abraham, who was Abram, he lived in the home with his father in the land of Ham, and Nimrod was the ruler of that region. That region was living basically paganism, idolatry, and everything going on in Abraham's father's house. So Yah told him to cross over, Ibrit, to cross over. And that's where the Hebrew comes from. He crossed over and left his people. He was by himself, along with his wife, his nephew, and some servants. And he basically established his own, I guess, own people, own group. As he kept living his life and everything, more was added to him. Yah had told him that from you, there is going to come a nation. You look further, you see all of the different prophets. A lot of times the prophets were isolated, it seemed. And sometimes I'm living this life, I feel isolated. I know that I have people with me. My wife, of course. I have true friends. Sometimes, I lose sight of that and I feel alone when I'm actually not. But I know that's about my lane. It's about the assignment that I'm under. So let me get to going here. And I'm going to first go into what is meant by going against the grain. So let's go here. It says here the phrase going against the grain means to act contrary to what is generally accepted or practiced. It refers to doing something differently from the standard way most people do it, often implying a choice to follow one's own path rather than conforming to norms. This idiom, see, Hebrews use idiom, can also suggest a struggle against natural tendencies and expectations. See, my natural tendencies used to be very lustful. It's a lot of different things. I'm not going to go in there. This idiom can suggest a struggle against natural tendencies or expectations, in the case of someone who finds a particular action uncomfortable or contrary to their nature. The expression is believed to have originated from the way wood grains run, where cutting against the grain can be more difficult. Most don't believe it, but in my youth, I was very silent. Now I'm so talkative and I'm jumping in, I'm sometimes to the point um not disrespectful, but I don't give people much space to speak a lot of times. And it's not intentionally, but it's something that, I used to didn't get to speak, so now it just comes out like vomit, just you know. And this is basically around people that I love or care for. If I could be very silent around people that I don't have, no feelings towards. But again, I go against the grain. I challenge a lot of stuff. I correct situations. I speak towards things that most people think about but won't say, because if they do say it, a lot of times they realize it may cause them to be isolated. And I'm used to being isolated. It's not something that I desire, but my lane and my assignment often will have me that way. So let me go to the next definition before I get going. So outlier says it's a noun. It says something that lies outside the main body or group. See, I'm not a part of any set assembly. One Vision Ministry, you could say it's an assembly, but it's actually my home group. That's my home. So it's not really an assembly. I welcome people in, but it's going to constantly be changing other than the people who are actually here, my wife and my children. So something that lies outside the main body of group that is a part of, such as a cow far from the rest of the herd or a distant island belonging to a cluster of islands. So I'm often away from the groups. I've visited assemblies. I got, friends and family of people I consider mishpah in assemblies, but I don't always fellowship with them because a lot of times, you know, my questions seem offensive when I bring up certain things that I've seen in the text, because it's been things that people brought over from Christianity or that they're comfortable with. It doesn't, I guess, give them, it don't give them peace. They feel like that, sometimes I'm coming with a little friction, and I'm like, how does iron sharpen iron other than with friction? So, second definition for outlier says someone who stands apart from other members of a group, such as a differing behavior, beliefs, or religious practices. So, let's go. Let's get to going to the message. Let's read. Now, before I read here, I'm going to just go down here and show you one of the prophets, Obadiah, or Obadiahu, but it's Obadiah here. He's a prophet. So I'm going over here to Malachim Aleph, 1 Kings 18. And it says, and after many days, it came to be that the word of Yahuwah came to Eliyahu. Most of us have learned this to be Elijah, but it's Eliyahu in the third year, saying, go present yourself to Ahab. Ahab was the ruler of Israel. Oh, he was ran by his wife Jezebel, but he was the ruler. And I give rain on the earth. Thereupon Eliyahu went to present himself to Ahab. And the scarcity of food in Shamaron, which is Samaria, was severe. And Ahab had called Obadiah, who was over his house. So again, there go Obadiah. Now Obadiah feared Yahuwah exceedingly. And it came to be, while Jezebel cut down the prophets of Yahuwah, she was getting rid of the prophets of Yahuwah, seeing she was a prophetess of Baal. She brought that to Israel through her father. And, she basically had Ahab dealing with Baal. So check it out. That Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them. So this man was obviously a worker for Yah. He hiding the prophets of Yahuwah. He's had 50 to a cave and had fed them with bread and water. But he in the house of this wicked woman who's running her husband, the sovereign, the king of Israel, Ahab. And Ahab had said to Obadiah, go into the land to all the springs of water and to all the wadis. It could be that we find grass to keep the horses and mules alive and not have any livestock cut off. And they divided the land between them to pass over it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was on his way, then see, Eliyahu met him. So they knew each other. And he recognized him and fell on his face and said, is that you, my master, Eliyahu? So see, he reverenced Eliyahu. And he answered him, it is I. Go say to your master, Eliyahu is here. And he said, what have I sinned that you are giving your servant into the hand of Ahab to kill me? See, he already been hiding the prophets and stuff like that and doing stuff. But Ahab didn't know nothing about that, because if he would have killed him. So now he want to say, okay, here go Eliyahu. Eliyahu want him to go let him know. But Ahab been searching after Eliyahu everywhere. And every time he heard he being somewhere, when he got there, he wasn't there because he wanted to kill Eliyahu. And so it says, as Yahuwah, your Elohim lives, there's no nation or reign where my master has not sent to look for you. And when they said he is not here, he made the reign or nation swear that they could not find you. And now you say, go say to your master, Eliyahu is here. So you want me to say you here. And it says, and it shall be as soon as I've gone from you that the Ruach, the spirit of Yahuwah, takes you away to a place I do not know. And I shall come to report to Ahab, and when he does not find you, he shall kill me. But I, your servant, have feared Yahuwah from my youth. He like, I'm obedient, so I'm going to do what I'm told to do. But man, I'm going to end up dying off of this. Was it not reported to my master what I did when Jezebel killed the prophets of Yahuwah, how I hid 100 men of the prophets of Yahuwah, 50 to a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now you go. You say, go, say to your master, Eliyahu is here. Then he shall kill me. And Eliyahu said, as Yahuwah of hosts lives, before whom I stand, I shall indeed show myself to him today. Obadiah then went to meet Ahab and informed him, and Ahab went to meet Eliyahu. And it came to be, when Ahab saw Eliyahu, that Ahab said to him, is that you, O disturber of Yasharel, or of Israel? And he answered, I have not disturbed Israel. See, Eliyahu is being considered one that's going against the grain, an outlier. But you and your father's house, in that you have forsaken the commands of Yahuwah, you have followed the Baals. See, Ahab, his household, and he basically is being the ruler of Israel. He got all of the people following Baal. Eliyahu is the outlier. He going against all of that because, again, our loyalty is supposed to be to Yah, and Eliyahu is standing outside of that. He doing what he's supposed to be doing, but because it's the majority of them doing the wrong, he the one that looked like the problem person. And now send and gather all Israel to me on Mount Carmel, the 450 prophets of Baal. See, it was 100 prophets of Yahuwah saved, but you see, it's 450 prophets of Baal. The numbers line up more towards Baal. And the 400 prophets of Asherah. So then 450 of Baal. Now you got 400 of Asherah. That's 850 who eat at Jezebel's table. At Isabel. Ahab then sent for all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets of Mount Carmel. So These people are following their king. He got these 850 prophets that's going against Yah, and now all the people. Eliyahu is the one set by the side. That's the outlier. That's the one that's going against the grain. And Eliyahu came to all the people and said, how long would you keep hopping between two opinions? If Yahuwah is Elohim, follow him. If Baal, follow him. But the people answered him not a word. See, Yah has wanted to be the king over people, but you got men all the time wanting to be king, wanting to be rulers. You got all these different people that want to have great influence with the people, so much so that they will call the things of Yah sin or lawlessness that Yah never called lawlessness. That ain't right. And just because the majority of the people agree with something does not make it right. As you see, the majority of the people here, even though they were silent right there, they there with their king, who's following Baal. And only one that's speaking up at this moment for Yah is Eliyahu. Of course, Obadiah had spoken up, but he ain't in this situation. And so, and Eliyahu said to the people, I am I alone, excuse me, I alone am left a prophet of Yahuwah. He ain't talking about the 100. He ain't talking about Obadiah, but it sounds, he's speaking like I'm alone. But the prophets of Baal are 450 men. So check it out. I'm gonna put myself in here because many times I speak and minister, and I'm putting it out there that I'm alone, and I don't want to ever make it seem like I'm truly alone because I don't want to be offensive towards those that are my friends. But when I'm doing my ministry and stuff like that on these topics, I don't really have many people that jump in with me on that. I be on my own with that. Not saying that they don't agree with me, because again, you see, there was 100 prophets that was hidden away by Obadiah, and Obadiah that was rolling with Yahuwah. But at this moment, Eliyahu he felt alone because he's going against the challenges of the majority. And so when I speak out on polygyny, I'm not one that desires it. Sometimes I feel like I'm all alone. But I know it's other people that's ministering about that. It's a lot of things that I speak on. This whole thing of, these men wanting to be kings over the people. I speak out against that because, again, in First Kings 8, it tells you Yah only wants to be our king. It's a lot of things that I speak out on. The people that are worshiping Yahusha instead of Yahuwah. It's nothing wrong with reverencing Yahusha, but we are support worship to Yah. Even Yahusha prayed to Yah. He pointed out in the model prayer that our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. He didn't say my name, he said thy name. He's talking about the Father. Thy will be done, thy kingdom come. He didn't say nothing about his kingdom coming. He said Yah's kingdom come. Yah's will be done on earth as it in heaven. But of course, the way many people have put it out there, and Christianity has put it out there, it has people worshiping Yahusha as if he is not the directions that's pointing towards. He's the way that's pointing towards the destination. He is not the destination, but he is the direction towards the destination. We cannot ignore him, but we can't stop with him either. We have to get to the destination. But anyway, let me keep that going. Eliyahu said to the people, I alone am left a prophet of Yahuwah, but the prophets of Baal are 450 men. Now, I'm not going to finish reading the rest of this, but I'm going to just tell you what happened. He's basically going to set up an altar, douse it down with water. He wants the prophets of Baal to set up an altar. They do so. He douses his with so much water that you like, ain't no flame gonna happen there. But he calls upon Yah, and Yah lights that thing up. Prophets of Baal basically can't get anything done through their deity Baal, because Baal it doesn't exist. It's in the figment of people's imagination, something that they brought out of their butt. He's not a real deity, but men have worshiped these idols and stuff like that. These men start cutting themselves. But after no avail and nothing ever occurred, Eliyahu took to himself and started killing off those prophets. This man by himself, standing alone, this outlier. You could say, let's use the term black sheep, because a lot of time the black sheep of the family is the one that's speaking against the ills of the family and the generational curses and wanting to change what's been status quo, but people are fighting against it because that normal is comfortable. That normal is something that some people are benefiting from. That normal is all they know. See, I come from a household that's based on matriarchy. And so now that I'm stepping into patriarchy, I don't always get the welcome from my family that, I desire. So sometimes I don't even desire it no more. But I can't say that I don't ever desire it because I do. But then I'm like, I got to do what I'm supposed to do. I got to stay in my lane. But let's keep going. Let's keep reading. All right, sharing my screen back again. And I'm staying in First Kings because it's a lot of meat in here. So I'm gonna go over here to First Kings 22. And so I'm gonna start here and what I got highlighted, but I can give you some of the narrative. One of my favorite prophets is Micaiah. Micaiah basically reminds me of myself. I see myself, he's of course my ancestor, but it's so many times I've spoken out on things and I feel like people have smacked me for doing so. And then when it comes out with what I said was true, there's no acknowledgement to that. So I'm gonna just start here. It says, and Jehoshaphat said to the sovereign of Israel, to Ahab, please first inquire for the word of Yahuwah. And the sovereign of Israel gathered the prophets, about 400 men, and said to them, do I go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or do I refrain? And they said, go up, for Yahuwah does give it into the hand of the sovereign. But notice, and Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of Yahuwah? So those 400 prophets were not of Yahuwah. They may have been claiming Yahuwah, but they didn't have it on them that Jehoshaphat could see that something wasn't right with them. So Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a prophet of Yahuwah besides, that we might inquire of him? He didn't want to hear from these 400 for a reason. And already knowing before the previous message that I read that Ahab had prophets of Baal. That's who he was comfortable with hearing from. His wife brought that mess in, and that he's still with Isabel. Jezebel is what we've been learned, but it's Isabel. Then was prophets of Baal. And Jehoshaphat said, is there not a prophet of Yahuwah besides, that we might inquire him? And the sovereign of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, there is still one man, Micah Yahu, son of Yimla. So it's one. There's one outlier. There's one. There's one that's going against the grain. Micah Yahu, son of Yimla, to inquire of Yahuwah by him. But I hate him because he does not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. He won't say what I want him to say. He gonna only say what thus says Yahuwah. I'm the king. He need to say what I say. He need to line up with me. He need to go along to get along. He need to not contest or conflict with me about whatever I'm doing and saying. Come on. If you know me, you've seen many interactions with me and people that whenever I speak something that may be contrary to what everybody else is saying, folks don't want to deal with me. Don't mean that I don't love the person because I see something different, but I'm not allowed to keep fellowship with people when I speak something contrary. They only want me to go along to get along, and I can't do it. I have to say what Yah says, but let me say, but I hate him because he does not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, "Let not the sovereign say so." So the sovereign of Israel called an officer and said, "Bring Micaiah, son of Yimlah, at once." And the sovereign of Israel and Jehoshaphat, sovereign of Yehudah, were sitting, each on his throne, dressed in their robes, at the threshing floor of the entrance of the gate of Shamaran, Samaria. And all the prophets were prophesying before them. Doesn't say prophets of Yahweh again. These are just prophets that they were loyal to Baal because they were loyal to Ahab, who was a follower of Baal due to his wife Jezebel or Isabel. And Zedaiah, son of Kenaniah, had made horns of iron for himself and said, "Thus said Yahuwah, with these you push the Arameans until they are destroyed." And all the prophets were prophesying so, saying, "Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for Yahuwah shall give it into the hand of the sovereign." And the messenger who had gone to call Micaiah spoke to him, saying, "See now, the words of the prophets with one mouth, they all in agreement, are good towards the sovereign. Please let your word be like the word of one of them, and you shall speak good." And Micaiah said, "As Yahuwah lives, whatever Yahuwah says to me, that I speak." I Shanquilla or Shanquilla Carter says the same thing. "As Yahuwah lives, whatever Yahuwah says to me, that I speak." I'm not trying to go along to get along. I'm not finna be a yes man to anyone. I hate that I have to offend some of the people that I love, but I gotta honor Yah. And so it's gonna be a lot of folks that have cut me off, and people, people jump on that bandwagon. They say, "Well, if he don't like him, I don't like him either." But anyway, and he came to the sovereign, and the sovereign said to him, "Micaiah, do we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or do we refrain?" And he answered him, and see, I'm gonna say this with a little sarcasm because that's how I believe this was said. "Go and prosper, for Yahuwah shall give it to your hand, into the hand of the sovereign." And the sovereign said to him, "How many times have I made you swear that you do not speak to me except the truth in the name of Yahuwah?" Because that right there is cue to me to say he knew he was being mocked. He knew that he wasn't. I ain't gonna say the prophet was lying, but he was joshing with him. He was making fun of him, and he said, "I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains." This is Micaiah telling you the real. "I saw all Israel scattered on the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd." And Yahuwah said, "These have no master. Let everyone return to his house in peace." And the sovereign of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "Have I not said to you that he would not prophesy good concerning me, but evil?" See, he said everything I see. He ain't gonna never be on my side. He always go against me. Dude, you roll with Baal. How can a man of Yah, ever go with you? He never got nothing good to say about me. you you worshiping idols. What good could he say about you? If you do what's good, he could speak good. If you were worshiping Yah, he could say something good towards you. But no, you are operating and got all these prophets of Baal. I'm like, shoot, you had something just earlier when I read that what? Eliyahu had killed all of them different ones, but you brought back some more. Then he said, therefore, hear the word of Yahuwah. I saw Yahuwah sitting on his throne and all the hosts of heaven standing by him, and on his right and on his left. And Yahuwah said, who shall entice Ahab? Who gonna make this man decide to go into battle? Who gonna do it? He talking to all these other ruachs around him, saying, who gonna do this? To go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead. Who gonna cause him to go out to this battle so he can die? And this one said this, and another one said that. And a ruach, a spirit, came forward and stood before Yahuwah and said, let me entice him. And Yahuwah said to him, in what way? And he said, I shall go out and be a spirit, a ruach of falsehood in the mouth of all his prophets, not the prophets of Yah, but Ahab had his own prophets, the prophets of Baal. And basically the falsehood was going to be in all of their mouths. And he said, entice them and also prevail. Go out and do so. Yah said, entice them. Yah didn't do it, but he allowed ruachs, other spirits, to go do it. And now see, Yahuwah has put a ruach of falsehood in the mouth of all these prophets of yours, and Yahuwah has spoken evil concerning you. And Zedekiah, son of Canaanah, came near and struck Micaiah on the cheek and said, where did the ruach, the spirit of Yahuwah, pass over from me to speak to you? Why does Yahuwah respect your person more than me? He gonna speak out of your mouth, so he gonna pass over me to speak to you? You know who I am? No. And Micaiah said, look, you shall see on the day when you go into the inner room to hide. So I'm gonna stop there for a second. If you know the story, Ahab and Jehoshaphat went out to battle. Ahab called himself gonna be slick though. He want to take on the robe or the chariot of Jehoshaphat and let Jehoshaphat ride his. And so the people that they were going against were going after, they were going after Jehoshaphat. And Jehoshaphat like, what the heck? They're about to kill him. And then they found out, oh, that ain't Ahab. And so happened, I guess, I think it was an arrow or a spear shot up in the air, and Ahab ended up getting struck and dying. So that same prophet that smacked Micaiah, that the outlier Micaiah, the one that, went against the grain, yeah, that prophet ended up getting killed or dying in the temple. Yeah. Micaiah was put in prison because he spoke the truth. So he was isolated, separated, treated like a scarlet letter person. I remember that happening to me, but it ain't about me. Let me keep going. A lot of times when you stand up and speak what thus says Yah, it's not going to be comfortable. Not for you. And yes, there will be some people that got your back. Obadiah had Eliyahu's back, but of course, he was living in the house of Ahab, so he had to. A lot of you men out here, y'all got y'all some Jezebels in y'all house, and y'all don't agree with it, but y'all letting her run. Y'all ain't got the head of your household, so you can't speak up and speak on things and speak in truth. That's why it frustrates a lot of folks that I speak in truth about polygyny, even though I don't want it, even though I'm not in it. but you can't speak on it because if you do, your wife gonna fall out with you. When you know biblically is the law, but you gotta pander a little bit because you don't want your wife to cut you off. You probably have went months already in the time without her laying with you. And you don't want that to happen because you just said a truth. Because what you trying to replace me or trying to add? And that ain't even what you said. But them feelings and emotions be running people. But let me get back to where I'm going. I'm me and my rabbit trails. I'm gonna keep going. Keep going. I want to show you something else. Keep going. So I'm staying in Malachi, but I'm gonna go back a little bit. So this prophet right here don't even have a name, but he was obviously a prophet of Yah. I just got through showing you two prophets that obeyed Yah, but I'm gonna end this out with a prophet that was obeying Yah up until he wasn't. So he was going against the grain. He was an outlier, but sometimes being an outlier is not comfortable, and you can be enticed to go along to get along. And that in itself causes you to be at odds with Yah. You know, this ain't the only prophet that I believe that did that. It's been other times that people have, you know, tried to appease the people or whatever, and not always prophets, because King Shaul, he wanted to please the people. He was raised up as a king, and then what? And that's in Kings too. He ended up falling out of favor with Yah because he wanted to please the people when Yah told him to totally destroy the people in the land that they went in and all of the livestock and everything else. But he kept some for the people because the people wanted some. But let's go. Malachim Aleph 13. And see, a man of Elohim went from Yahudah to Bethel by the word of Yahuwah. So he was led of Yah, while Jeroboam was standing by the slaughter place to burn incense. And he cried out against the slaughter place by the word of Yahuwah. So this man is doing what Yah has told him. And said, O slaughter place, thus said Yahuwah, see, a son is to be born to the house of Dawid. Yeshayahu is his name. And on you he shall slaughter the priests of the high places who burn incense on you, and men's bones be burnt on you. So basically, them idolaters, priests, is not saying specifically Baal, but they worship Asherah. They worship so many other things besides Yahuwah. And these priests they're going to get dealt with on this same altar. But let me keep going. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, this is the sign which Yahuwah has spoken. See, the slaughter place is split apart, and the ashes on it is poured out. And it came to be when the sovereign Jeroboam heard the saying of the man of Elohim, who cried out against the slaughter place in Bethel, that he stretched out his hand from the slaughter place, saying, seize him. So this man, he's a prophet. He didn't say what he's supposed to say, and they seize him. They want him to be grabbed. The hand reaches out. Then his hand, which he stretched out toward him, it dried up. It shriveled up so that he was unable to bring it back to him. Oh, it's stuck out there, just shriveled up. And the slaughter place was split apart, and the ashes poured out from the slaughter place according to the sign which the man of Elohim had given by the word of Yahuwah. And the sovereign answered and said to the man of Elohim, please appease the face of Yahuwah, your Elohim, and pray for me, that my hand might be restored to me. It's all shriveled up, and he like, no, don't leave me like this. And the man of Elohim appeased the face of Yahuwah, and the sovereign's hand was restored to him, and it became as it was before. The sovereign then said to the man of Elohim, come home with me and refresh yourself. and I give you a gift. Come on, let me show you hospitality. But the man of Elohim said to the sovereign, if you were to give me half your house, I do not go in with you, nor do I eat nor drink water in this place. See, here come his assignment. For he commanded me by the word of Yahuwah, saying, do not eat bread, nor drink water, nor return by the same way you came. So this prophet, he out here doing his assignment, but he was also given a command and a directive. The instruction was to do not eat bread, nor drink water, nor return by the same way you came. So simple assignment that he was able to quote it. So he went another way and did not return by the way he came to Bethel. And a certain old prophet was dwelling in Bethel. And his sons came and told him all the works that the man of Elohim had done that day in Bethel, the words which he had spoken to the sovereign. And their father said to them, which way did he go? And his sons had seen which way the man of Elohim went, who came from Yahudah. See, again, this was an old prophet too. And he said to his sons, saddle the donkey for me. And they saddled the donkey for him, and he rode on it, and went after the man of Elohim, and found him sitting under a terebinth. That's a tree. And he said to him, are you the man of Elohim who came from Yahudah? And he said, I am. And he said to him, come home with me and eat bread. Now remember what his assignment was. Was he supposed to eat bread there? No. And he said, I am not able to return with you or to go with you, or nor am I to eat bread or drink water with you in this place. For word came to me by the word of Yahuwah. Do not eat bread, nor drink water there, nor return by going the way you came. Now, this is a prophet. He got clear direction from who? Another man, his wife, his donkey. From the tree? No, from Yah. And he said to him, I am too a prophet like you. And a messenger spoke to me by the word of Yahuwah, saying, bring him back with you to your house and let him eat bread and drink water. So he already got clear direction that he knew what he was supposed to do from Yah. And now this other man then said that he coming to him, listen to me, and this messenger told me that you're supposed to come to my house and eat bread. Completely different than his assignment. Y'all don't change. So when did his assignment change? This prophet saying a messenger told him, but you remember, we just got through reading. What did y'all let happen with Ahab and Mekiyahu? He will allow a Ruach to entice you to do something contrary to what his will is. He already gave clear direction. He don't change. So if you choose to change, the results are on you, not on him. So again, bring him back to your house and let him eat and drink water. But he lied to him. So he turned back with him and ate bread in his house and drank water. He defied Yah and listened to the voice of a man. A lot of y'all are out there defying Yah, listening to a voice of a man. You got all type of conviction in you telling you, I shouldn't be doing this. This ain't right. But you ain't going to challenge the man because you don't want to be isolated. You don't want to be the outlier. You don't want to lose your comfortable spot in the assembly. And it came to be, as they sat at the table, that the word of Yahuwah came to the prophet who had brought him back. So now that prophet is hearing from Yah. He ain't say a messenger, but he heard from Yah. And he cried out to the man of Elohim who came from Yahuwah, saying, thus says Yahuwah, because you have rebelled. What? He thought he was listening to the voice of Yah through this prophet. But because you have rebelled against the mouth of Yahuwah and have not guarded the command which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you, Yah doesn't change. He gave a directive. I don't know. I kind of want to go on a rabbit trail here. Be fruitful and multiply was one of the original commands. So if a man is married to a barren woman and he's supposed to be fruitful and multiply, do he just say, "Well, I'm gonna just stick it out. I'm gonna rough it out," or does he find a way? Anyway, let me move on. Okay, and turn back and ate bread. Okay, so I'm gonna finish reading. It said, "Thus said Yahuwah, because you have rebelled against the mouth of Yahuwah and have not guarded the command which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you, and turned back and ate bread and drank water in the place of which he said to you, do not eat bread nor drink water. Your body shall not enter the burial sites of your fathers." Man. And it came to be after he had eaten bread and after he had drunk that he saddled the donkey for him and the prophet whom he had brought back. For the I'm like, this man had tricked him to come to his house, but now he set him up to leave real good. Cause he like, man, this ain't gonna go good for you. And he went, and a lion met him on the way and killed him. And his body was thrown on the way, and a donkey was standing by it, and a lion was standing by the body. It's like, okay, you were supposed to come in this place one way, not eat or drink, and leave out another way. This lion done killed you. You ain't even leaving now. Because you ate drink, you ain't even leaving now. And see, men were passing by and saw the body thrown on the way while the lion was standing by the body. The lion was protecting the body. Like, nah. And they went and reported it to the city where the old prophet dwelt. And the prophet who brought him back from the way heard it and said, is it the man of Elohim who rebelled against the mouth of Yahuwah? See, he ain't even taking no credit for lying to him. He said he rebelled. He said, no, not he ain't say nothing about the man I lied to and tricked into rebelling against. Because the ones that's leading y'all astray, they don't even have to point out they led you astray. You're going to be the one responsible for you going astray. It's going to be your own rebellion. You can't blame it on, well, so-and-so, well, Moray said this. No, if you know what Yah told you and you rebel against it, it's not going to be on them. Yeah, they're going to be held accountable down the line, but you got to remember, you go before the judgment. So you're going to be considered as one that rebelled against the mouth of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah gave him to the lion. You're going to be given over to the grave. Come on. And it tore him apart and killed him according to the word of Yahuwah, which he spoke to him. Come on. If Yah done told you something and you keep listening, going along and getting along to stay along in these assemblies and stuff like that, come on. Something going to happen to you. And people going to wonder, well, I thought he was living righteous. Come on, you rebelling. And I'm the one to call it out. And if I rebel, I know the same thing can happen to me. So I ain't up here in no pride or whatever. I'm not laughing at you, though I'm laughing because I have been joking in this ministering that I've been doing, but I'm not laughing at you because I don't want to fall like that same way. I don't want to step out of line with Yah and have a judgment come my way. So I don't want that to happen to you. That's the only reason why I'm even making this message, to give you a warning so you can heed and consider the voice of Yah over the voice of men. Begin. And he spoke to his son, saying, saddle the donkey for me. And they saddled it. So he went and found his body thrown on the way, and the donkey and the lion standing by the body. Lion ain't thinking about eating on the donkey. He guarding that body. The lion had not eaten the body, nor mauled the donkey. And the prophet lifted up the body of the man, so he was allowed to go up to him. of Elohim and placed it on the donkey and brought it back. And the old prophet came to the city to mourn and bury him. And he placed his body in his own burial site, and they lamented over him, saying, "Oh, my brother, oh, my Ak, oh, my Ak." And it came to be after he buried him that he spoke to his son, saying, "When I am dead, then you shall bury me in the burial site where the man of Elohim is buried. Lay my bones beside his bones." Mm-mm-mm. I'm going to stop right there. Oh, let me see. I had wrote something down, you know, because, I actually got this message again while I was in bed. I was saying, I was going to talk on something else. And of course, this is what y'all gave me. And again, me saying that probably going to offend some people. Deal with it. All right. It said, some are meant to seem like they are walking alone. Some are meant to chasten the collective, thus be isolated from the pack as their assignment. I hate that that's my assignment. I ain't gonna say I hate that it's my assignment, but I hate that it affects my household, because people separate themselves from relationship with me, it affects my wife, it affects my children. Because I don't do holidays. My family doesn't do holidays. So what was it? Just this week was their Thanksgiving. So of course, people in my natural family had gatherings and stuff, and we didn't go. I don't do birthday celebrations, so yeah, I be seeing a lot of my ox and a lot of my friends doing birthday celebrations, so I don't get invited. You know, and I don't begrudge it, but I do wish that there were other opportunities to fellowship. You know, sometimes I stay away from different assemblies because people have taken offense to something that I've said that not meant an offense. It's just like, hey, I can still love you and tell you I don't agree with what you said. Iron sharpening iron means that there's going to be some friction. There's going to be some rubbing against, but that's for the betterment. If you love somebody, you're supposed to say, hey, you got a booger in your nose, take that out. Or you got some toilet paper on the bottom of your shoe. You're going to tell them something that may embarrass them, may make them feel uncomfortable. But it's all about how you do it. And I get it. Sometimes people say I lack tact. So I do try to do stuff one to one. So even if I say it wrong, ain't nobody in the audience to hear about it. It's me directly talking to you. But if you know me, you should know me. I'm not saying nothing to kill you, to take you off this earth, or to take you out of your place. I want to raise you up. I want you to be better. I'm not trying to sit up under nobody. I want to be peers with somebody, but if I help you raise up and I'm your peer, I raise up too. If I'm so busy trying to hold you down, I gotta go down with you when I'm pressing you down. I'm not trying to do none of that. I'm only saying what I'm assigned to do. And a lot of times it's not comfortable. A lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is a reality. I could keep on. People say you harp on polygyny. But if we get to the time of desert time, it's going to be a lot of women that's uncovered. And then what? We supposed to just let them, fend for themselves? That's not how that's supposed to be. It tells you 7 women to 1 man. It's in the book, but people say, well, that's allegory. And I'm like, okay, you don't see how things are going right now? You see how desperate a lot of people were when they was hearing about EBT getting cut off and they not having resources. So if somebody has resources, I don't know. I myself am not looking for that, but I seriously, I done gave money to people And when you don't have their allegiance or a bond, they do whatever with that money, and then you just have to deal with the consequences of whatever they did. But if you did allegiance and a bond to you, if they connected to you, if you truly cover them, they got to think about and consider how it's going to affect you. The money that's shared between me and my wife, I know what it's doing. Even when I'm not using it, I know it's doing things that I would agree with. She ain't buying no Christmas trees and stuff like that because that ain't something I agree with. But you give some money to somebody else, like your family or whatever, they go take that money to go buy something that, you know, or they gonna go buy some weed, go buy them some alcohol or something that you don't support. Not saying that alcohol is a sin, whatever and stuff like that, but I didn't give you the money for that. How many times have you given money to somebody for one thing and find out they used it for something else? When you covering somebody and you really have them, you're gonna know out of relationship that it's gonna be doing what it's supposed to do. And I can't see myself as a man funding a woman that's covered by another man. It's like, no, that's his responsibility. Why am I giving her money that he's gonna direct how the money gonna be spent? That's crazy to me. Now, if it was my son, that's different. But another man, no, especially if they're gonna be doing something contrary to what my Yah. I'm not finna fund no prophet of Baal. Not doing it. Not willingly. And that's what a lot of y'all are open to do. I rambled a little bit. Let me get back onto it. Abba Yah, thank you for this Shabbat. Thank you for this day. May those that are outliers, those that are going against the grain, know that they are not alone truly. And though they may even speak it, let those that are with them not feel that they're ignoring them. Realize that they have a task, they have a job and a duty, and they're speaking on that for the moment. Not that they're, disrespecting the relationships that they have, but they're doing and being what Yah has directed them to be. That they're in their lane, ministering and trying to change things and warning people because Yah has put it in them to do so. Let them not be like Micah Yahoo getting slapped constantly by those that are supposed to be their peers. Let them not be like the last prophet, the nameless prophet, having people lie to them to have them go along to get along. Have them off their assignment trying to appease men instead of Yah. I thank you for this will that you have placed in me. That my will is to do your will. My will is to see your kingdom advance here on the earth. My will is to have my household reverence you. Not saying that other households don't, but the way I view that we're supposed to reverence, by not celebrating certain things, that's what it is. And not saying that I 100% do everything right, because I make a lot of mistakes and I'm transparent with that. I thank you, Yah, that you are still raising up a son in me. I'm still your son and you're raising me up. I'm still very childish in many ways, but you're teaching me to come to maturity. And I thank you. Hallelujah. Yada Yahuwah. Shabbat Shalom. Shanquilla Yah. Shanquilla Carter. One Vision Ministry.